to her sister, who was well protected from the cold, took photos of her, and was greeted by her two friends with fun experiences. And Elizabeth had not yet seen him rejoicing before the people came. Their communication skills are important. They can tell real stories, have fun, and laugh with their jokes. But it was the first kings of Jane who survived. Their eyes looked down Beanley access tripartite said earlier. Miss Benedict said, "Thank you very hard, Dad." The injured was said to be very happy. There is a difference between heat, will prove Beanley burned. He was full of joy and curiosity. The fire is burned in the fire, so that it does not die within half an hour. Lust for the fire, that you may not be able to go abroad. He sits down and starts talking to people. The Queen, who worked in the yard and took care of everything. Finishing the Hurst memory card on his way to the table, but in vain. Fourth dairy, I don't want dear Hurst to find himself a smart person, and whoever has been found to be able to open a book should be a passing player. And this person has peace of mind, and that no one should play with the evidence taken in whole or in part. It was, but it wasn't necessary, and one had to sleep on the floor, the other had to sleep with Hurst on the sidewalks. Take Darcy, as Beanley missed, and Power and Hurst, earrings, rings, especially when played by her friends, and now Miss Bliss the conversation with my sister, right away. Miss Beanley was greatly impressed by Darcy's knowledge of his book and his reading. He was always asking questions or looking at his work. They will not defeat him, however, in all negotiations. Then answer your question and read it. Finally, when she was tired and trying to find her book, which she had chosen because it was her second book, she smiled and said, "I said there is nothing better than reading. What are the wheels? If I had my own house, I would be sad if it did not have a good bookshop." No one responded. When he jumped again, he threw the book and rolled his eyes in search of pleasure. Listening to his brother talking to Mrs. Bennet, turned to them and said, "Goodbye, Charles. Do you regret playing Netherfield and meditation football? I advise you, before you know it, to follow the wishes of the party. I would make a big mistake if none of us got more penalties for football than sports." "If you mean Darcy," said his brother, "he can sleep if he chooses before he starts. But as he does for football, it is a permanent thing, and if Nicol does white soup, I'll put that to my cards." "I want the balls to be so good," he replied, "if they are held forward in any way. But there is something very pure in the process of the meeting. It is more logical to talk than to dance, in harmony with the sun." "I think a lot, my friend Caroline, I plan to do, but it's not like football." Beanley was a woman who could not answer, but quickly got up and went back to the room and the surrounding area. In the body it is the most beautiful and the best. For all knowledge of the place, however, is divided into 3 parts. Elizabeth tried again to turn. "I hope I will let Mr. Ludovic Benedictus, Mrs., ask you to follow my example and change the room. I tell you it has been changed for a long time." Elizabeth was shocked, but immediately agreed. Mrs. Beanley has done a great job in its development. Darcy rolled her eyes. He looked awake and cold in the field, like Elizabeth, and he did not immediately close his book. They are called to join parties, but they refuse because they have only 2 reasons to rise and fall, which would hinder their goals. "What does that mean? Find out what it means," asks Elizabeth if she hears. He replied, "No, but we have to trust him. He wants to hurt us, and we don't want the way we believe he is hurt," he said. However, Beanley could not fail Mr. Darcy in any case. The reason he continued to do this for 2 reasons. He was allowed to speak, saying, "I will not refuse to explain it to you. You choose this path at night because you are self-confident in everything, and you have secret questions to discuss. Or because you know your numbers look good on the go. First, on the way I do, and secondly, thank you very much. Oh, miracle! Mrs. Beanley cried. She said, I've never seen anything like it. How can we beat him when he says that? Elizabeth said, when you have an idea, it's not easy. We can all hurt and advise each other. Laugh at it. You just have to be careful with the help you give to others. But with all due respect, I will not allow it. I assure you that my partner has not taught me that. Lord, then Darcy laughed, Elizabeth cried. But then there is hope, but the rare and special will always be there. Because a good understanding is a bad loss for me. I like the smile. Miss Beanley, he said, gave me respect for me. He's a smart and intelligent person, painless and understands work, someone who can smile at the end, to despise life. No, replied Elizabeth. Like people, but I don't want to be one of them. I beg you not to laugh at a fair and good trial. The EU thinks so. What's your problem? Miss Beanley gave me more than I gave. The wise man, the most successful, not to mention the wisest and most profitable man, is the one who smiles at the first thing in the world to be judged. Elizabeth said, Yes, many, but if only I were not one of them. I would not oppose the wise and the good. It was said in a timely manner, but with my compassion I have learned to avoid weakness. It is often better to understand the accusations and the objections. Bow and proud. Yes, it's useless and weak. But pride, when there are real feelings, pride is always suppressed. Elizabeth turned to hide her smile. I think you've finished pony training with Mr. Darcy, Miss Beanley said. I pray, what's the point in that? I'm sure that it does not matter, Darcy. He is the one who does not ask for an argument. Darcy said, I did not say that. I did something wrong, but I hope they do not understand. I do not try to express my anger. I think the consequences are small. You unfortunately failed, Elizabeth shouted. Hate is a symbol of the shadow. But you made the right choice. I'm not kidding. They are safe for me. I think there are misconceptions everywhere. The mistakes of nature cannot be overcome even with the best education. It's easy to hate everyone. He smiled and replied, It would be a mistake to know that. Let's listen to music, Miss Beanley said. Bernadette from Lawes doesn't remember Hurst on the way. Rest and let her open with her sister, so she didn't have to worry. Ear motto. And I began to notice problems. Until next week.
Right, okay, let's swap out for a different chapter. Let's swap over. Just for a little bit, to make things look a bit different.
So,
not much, but yeah.
Chapter 11. After the girls left for lunch, no one responded.
I was surprised.
Quite. I hope I will let Mr. Ludovic Benedictus, Mrs. Mrs. I'd love to say the sport of meditation football. I think we should start this. Mr. Beanley? Miss Beanley, I think you've finished pony training with Mr. Darcy. The mistakes quirks of nature cannot be overcome even with the best education.
Are you going to do it?
I don't know, is this supposed to be me?
Yeah.
Darcy?
Sorry, I wasn't really listening.
You understand?
Yes, I think there are I think you've finished pony training with Mr. Bernadette from Law Wards. How do you say that place? The other place where we go to get healed.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
Look.
Well, that anyway. Bernadette's from there, and apparently she doesn't remember Hurst on the way.